make this as quick and fast as possible, guys. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, well, that's right. Thank you, Andrew. What I would do without you. Oh, God, so it's hurtful. Okie dokie. Welcome to Thought Bubble. I'm your host, Ryan Rizos. Coming here from Full Sail University, we're going to be discussing the new methods of distribution and how it affects the music industry. So, a bit about the history and all the new technology which instigated these changes, and how the industry is responding to these in light of these new changes. So, here discussing this with us today, we have Jonathan Rodriguez. Andrew Wurst. Louis Pacheco. And Darren Velasquez. Thanks for showing up today so I didn't have to do this by myself. Now, let's just kick this off by asking, where did this all begin? What is some of the history behind the music industry and distribution that led to the changes that are affecting the industry today? Andrew, something tells me here that you have something to say on this.
Well, Ryan, I think it's no real big surprise to most people, but the industry, of course, used to thrive on CDs, and of course, it spread itself through radio as well. I've actually got a chart here for everyone. I see over the course of the 1990s, the total sales for CDs totaled over $13 billion. However, by 2006, that number had decreased by over $9 billion, just 6 years later.
That's definitely a lot of money, man. But I couldn't help but noticing you mentioned radio in there. And radio is really its own form of music distribution. Would you say it's as effective nowadays as it was really back then? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as far as radio goes, I think in itself, I think the loss of CD sales really actually helped push radio along. Because nowadays we see things such as satellite radio, and of course satellite radio, as most of us know, require a monthly subscription, and with that, of course, users have a more specific choice of which radio stations to listen to.
Okay, I still hate it though, I wouldn't pay for it. But speaking of things like we don't pay for that we like though, I mean, we really see a game changer in the advent of Napster. I mean, what are your thoughts on that specifically? Was Napster, is it a good thing? Was it a plague? Was it a curse? Was it a benefit to the industry, Louis?
Well, having the convenience to be able to listen to your favorite group of songs just by the click of a mouse, although it doesn't seem as impressive now as it was over a decade ago, back then it really flipped the music industry over, and though industry-wise, it's been, of course, of a plague, consumer-wise, it's been a blessing. Napster, which was the company to encourage P2P, which is peer-to-peer file sharing, with different users to champion MP3s. I mean, nowadays, who doesn't love free MP3s?
I don't. They sound like crap, man. But I mean, I'm talking about the impact on the industry itself. I mean, we're all attached to this industry, and it makes us either hypocrites or fence sitters now when it comes to purchasing music. So my question is the change really worth it? The overall cost that it's doing to the industry, which is, again, something that we're going to be involved with in the very near future.
Well, the most apocalyptic experience to the music industry, as some might say, is when overall sales dropped a whopping 47% from $14.6 billion to $7.7 billion during the advent of Napster. And in my opinion, it brings a new challenge to the industry to evolve into not just selling albums, but to be more interactive with their audience. This could be considered a good thing too, because it forced the music industry to be more creative. Not just musically, it forces the musicians to be more visual. In fact, it explains part of the reason reason why record labels have grown to rely on tours, because it gives people something they can't get from download.
Okay, yeah, that's very true. But like, my question to you is, do you ever think we'll see a day when record companies will sort of get back on their feet and not have to rely on show production, or is it quite the opposite? Is it that show production is really like the way of the future here? Jonathan, you seem to be quiet. You got to talk. Okay? Well, we got a time slot to fill here.
Yeah, man. Well, lately, CDs have dropped drastically in prices, and lately, show production seems to be something that yearly continuously grosses in income. In 2011, like I said before, it's $23 billion industry, and right now, that's more than albums have ever sold in general before even piracy became the norm. So honestly, and personally, I think show production is what's saving right now the
Okay.
CD sales.
But more or less, I mean, with concerts taking the big losses that they're doing, big studios are shutting down, and I mean, but when I mean, like, back in the day, it was different because record companies were behind artists, and really now, when you say live show production is so huge, I think it's only good for huge artists who did make it back in the day, who can reap in on it because they were going by those promotional means. Like nowadays, for upcoming artists who can't really tour in the same vein, like how is it for them? How are these new technologies benefiting upcoming artists? Darren?
Well, back in the day, big time artists spent loads of cash on studio time. With growing technology, nowadays it's becoming more and more easier to get into making your own studios at home, and now we can spend hundreds of dollars and have our own studio at home. And I think that's what's saving, what's helping us out with that. This is the change.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. And plus, with new media applications, things are actually being made more and more convenient for artists. For instance, virtual instruments that can now be in the palm of your hands and download directly from Apple.
I mean, but all right, call me a skeptic, but producing music on your phones just sounds really cheesy to me, man. I'm sorry.
I know since this is a new and growing concept and that people at first might be skeptical, but think of some of these actual applications such as Bebop, which is a synth module after the touchscreen concept of the K oscillator, the MIDI piano that is used for creating melodies or helping singers to find the right pitch, and Beat Control, which is an app that lets you control your DAW from your iPad, which of course brings untold benefits to anyone in live production.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely some weight to that. I mean, as you said, for show production, but with the big studios going down, like I said, the lack of support from record companies, and the fact that you said now everybody can make records now, it's so easy. To me, it's like taking music, it's putting it to a smaller scale, but yet there's so much noise. Like, how does one really stand out from the noise? I mean,
Well, Ryan, I wouldn't call it minuscule, rather more opportunistic. Because as Lewis was saying, nowadays artists really don't need record companies to back them up. There's more publicity, there's more independence, and people can do it themselves for a change. With technology progressing, it's becoming easier to not only produce music, but publicize as well. And with social networks for basically any hobby that you have, music being the most popular, it offers so many ways to get your music out to the public without anyone taking our hard-earned cash.
all right, but all right, we're on the topic of social networking, but how does publicity translate into profit? I mean, how does things like Facebook friends or tweets or YouTube hits really like generate income for musicians nowadays? Anthony, you've been really quiet. You need to say something.
Okay. Well, today, a lot of the music industry it seems that it's starting to be controlled by Google. And really, especially with the standalone musicians, like you said, they're making music now in their bedrooms and stuff like that. It's really their way of life and how they get food, stuff like that. But the question really is how are they doing this through Google? Well, Google owns YouTube. And YouTube is, as you all know, that where we watch music videos and stuff like that. And they're actually doing it through music videos. What does YouTube have? Well, YouTube has AdSense. And AdSense is essentially those 15-second ads that you watch before the music video starts or the ads on the side. Every time that's played, especially the ones that you can't hit the skip button, they get somewhere from 3 to 15 cents every time there's a play. And I don't know if you've seen some of those big YouTube videos, but there's over 1 million plays on them. So 15 cents times 1 million is a lot of money. There's actually a guy that's running a record company right now. His name is Alan Lucifica. And he wrote an article saying, is YouTube destroying or saving music? And his argument was basically that it was saving music because his record label made over $1 million in profit in 1 year just from Google AdSense and playing their music videos on YouTube when their sales on iTunes only gave maybe 15% of that. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that.
Give me back my clicker. All right. Well, since you're saying that, okay, marketing and advertising is basically the new way for musicians to make money, since music's basically being passed around like nothing. So, what's the relevance of things such as iTunes? Are they really making an impact on the music market nowadays?
iTunes has actually evolved a lot for the changing market and gives you some advantages that albums didn't have back in the day. We all know today it's about efficiency and convenience. And with music, it's all about buying the music that interests you by being allowed to sample tracks or purchase songs as opposed to entire CDs. It caters to the consumer's needs and tends of trying to push people to purchase entire albums where they may only be interested in few tracks. Some albums also give you extra content like virtual booklet or the album, so that way you don't feel like you spend the money for no reason.
Yeah, but isn't that just kind of like pre-packaging art? I mean, isn't that taking something that's supposed to connect with people and making it like a stick of gum that you buy at the store? As good as these new distribution methods are, as convenient as they are, is it really coming at the cost of our music, like the soul of our music? I think this is something important that we need to discuss. Andrew, you haven't talked for a while. You need to say something.
Well, Ryan, I definitely agree. I think that, yes, music is becoming prepackaged, so to speak. The soul of the music is being sucked out. And this is just because of the change of the new technologies. The industry is being forced to evolve to survive. But with all these changes, that doesn't change the fact that, we all have to put food on our table at the end of the day. So I think the best bet for artists today is to, yes, play into the new wave of how the industry is working, play into this new paradigm. Because, music, yes, while it shouldn't be about the money has to be there for the music to work. So I think that artists should have a side of them where, yes, they play into this new system, but of course, after they've earned their money, then they will be allowed to, or be enabled, I should say, to create their true masterpieces.
Okay, so kind of like going upon their morals to put the real masterpiece out. Okay. Anthony, maybe you want to contribute to this?
Yeah, like you said, they are prepackaging art now. It might sound horrible, but the soul of music is gone because of the way consumers like music nowadays.
So you're saying if we valued it more, it wouldn't be like this?
Exactly. If the public cared about the soul of music, then artists wouldn't have to sell out to make a living. And it's pretty much the consumer's fault that this is happening to our industry.
Strong point. Lewis?
Well, some people may find this new medium advanced and very convenient. And from the industry standpoint, it's just a new way to reach out to your fans. I don't look at it as replacing music, how music is distributed, but just an easier way that the average consumer can get in touch with new songs by their favorite artists and possibly discover new ones. But you're absolutely right in the fact that there's nothing better than having a packaged CD in your hands and having the opportunity to flip through the pages of the artist booklet and find out more about this artist.
Darren?
This is a fine line. Art is both an expression and a product by the artist. That takes hard work, dedication, and time. It means a lot to the artist to make his music and to reach out to the people. It is meant to reach out to the people and generate revenue as well. And although something like iTunes isn't necessarily the best way to get your music out, it's preferable over pirating, which takes all the value away from the hard work of the artist. It's just not fair for those people who work so hard to make a hit record.
First, and John, sorry, I'm almost leaving you out.
It's all honestly think it depends on the artist itself because let's say if you're local, it can be very beneficial and income-wise, and in the end, a song is gonna sell if it's good, mainstream good, and not everyone understands what people are trying to, what their intentions are in society, but the most you can do is just like try and get that message out. And when it comes to the artistic aspect, I believe the soul of music usually is most important to the artist, him or herself, and how they try and describe the message. And overall, I think the soul of music isn't a dollar bill; it's just a message. It's getting point across to a large audience.
Well, that's all very good points. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Next time on Thought Bubble, we will discuss public speaking and is it useful to Full Sail students? Should we have all just taken this online? And if we did take it online, would it still be considered public speaking? These are questions that will not be answered because we won't be here ever again. I'm your host, Ryan Rizzo. Here's our references. Goodbye.